so the topic of today is digital well-being, as I always like to call it. I've been running around sessions on this like for the last 3 days, or the subtitle, are you using technology or is it using you? So this is something we really want to check in today. Just a few words about myself. My name is George Peterbos. I'm the founder director of Resonance GmbH. I'm a trainer for mental health and well-being, resilience and positive neuroplasticity. I'm a certified coactive coach, so for one-on-one coaching. And I'm a mindfulness teacher, and I'm also moderating cultural transformation, and I'm the inventor of the Being Doing balance. This is the model here. I won't go into details here right now, but we're going to talk a little bit about being and doing, also in the context of digital well-being. So how would you describe your relationship to digital technology, actually? So really see it as something as a relationship. So if you want, you can also use the chat here, the chat functionality, to share your relationship that you have with others in terms of digital technology. Often we don't ask ourselves this simple question. We just take things a little bit for granted. So here's an opportunity for you to engage using the chat. Yeah, I'm gonna continue. You can write something in the chat so you can read the comments of everybody else. Let me tell you, start by telling you my story. So when I was a student, quite some time ago, but still it was already very digital. People were using computers all the time at university, but I felt using a computer wasn't really helping me in doing what I wanted to do, meaning writing thesis, in this case for philosophy. I was a student of philosophy, and I felt it was kind of interrupting my need for focus, my need for concentration, because there were a lot of digital things getting in the way. Also, it took like quite a long time to reboot the computer, and it was causing some noise with the fan. So I switched it off. I actually sold it, and I went back to a typewriter. Yeah, that's true. I really wrote like thesis on my old typewriter. And of course, I was only temporarily, but I felt like there wasn't really more in the need what I wanted to do. Yeah. So then I finished my studies, and then I felt this need. I wanted to become a writer. Yeah. So I wanted to live on an island, not just on one island, but in Ireland. So actually I moved then from Berlin, where I studied, to the Republic of Ireland, and I found a job as well. I worked for Apple Computers, a company that's very well known to all of us right now, because it's right in the center of the digital revolution that we've been going through in the past 2 decades. And there was a time where, I really got fascinated at the beginning of the 2001, when the first iPod came out, before the iPhone and the iPad. So really the first devices, and I got really excited about it. And I got distracted from my original plan of becoming a writer and moving like maybe to the Irish countryside, because I was so fascinated about this. So really I got more distracted, yeah. And so I never became a writer. Actually, I had some time where I worked like in informatics even, which wasn't my core intention in my life. And only like a few years ago, like 5 years back, I stopped working in informatics, and I really started to do more of the things that I wanted to do and become the person that I wanted to be. So what means A and D here on the scale? So A stands, maybe for analog, and D for digital. So where are you right now between analog and digital? Are you more on the digital or more on the analog, or having a bit of both? So another question here you can ask yourself, and also use the chat if you want. So analog, digital, but maybe it also means aware and distracted. Yeah. So maybe like digital means we get more distracted into what we want to do and who we want to be, whereas A stands for being present and being aware. Yeah. Okay. Let's go into what people have been already saying about this topic, because a lot of people are discussing what the impact really is of technology on our minds and our brains. Like Nicholas Carr, a writer who wrote The Shallows, or what the internet is doing to our brains. So really looked into, is the internet causing brain changes? And the answer is yes. And if you want to read, it's like a 500-page book. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in a moment as well. Another one is a quote from Sean Parker, Facebook co-founder, who said, developers of platforms such as Facebook have admitted that they were designed to be addictive, which isn't probably so new to you, but it's like tech industry, also people from the tech industry acknowledge that their technology is meant to distract you from what you want to do, basically. And another quote here, interacting with screen floods the brain with dopamine. And dopamine is not just like good by definition. It needs to have the right level so that it really supports us. If it's too much dopamine, we may get lost of, lose the sense of reality and find it hard to be really grounded and to see things clearly. Another quote from Tristan Harris, Center for Humane Technology. If you've seen The Social Dilemma, he's featured in that film. As long as social media companies profit from outrage, confusion, addiction, and depression, our well-being and democracy will continue to be at risk. So it affects a lot of things, not just our mental well-being, it affects our social space and also our democracy. Another quote here from The Guardian, smartphones destroy the work-life balance or divide. So we actually, people in offices, they work 2 hours more because we don't stop working when we leave work. We're still connected, we still read emails and or write or respond to emails and or other means of digital media. And this is a very important study. The mere presence of one's own smartphone reduces available cognitive capacity. Really, if you want to read one study, then maybe read this one. It gives a clear idea, just the presence of a phone in the room without it doing anything, no notifications, reduces our mental capabilities. So it's a serious thing, and so you want to take it a little bit more serious also, but also see what we can do also during this course to balance it better. Finally, we're losing the raw human part of being with each other. Sherry Turkle, she wrote the book Alone Together, Why We Expect More Technology, Why We Expect More from Technology and Less from each other. So very important one. So the question or the balance here really is about attention versus distraction. Can we find a good ratio? Because distraction seems to be something natural that we have had even before. The problem is with the deep distraction here. We have like this low level of distraction. However, we may get deeply distracted from our lives, but also from an attention when it's necessary, like truck drivers that are distracted, causing, I think, 1/3 of all accidents right now. And Aldous Huxley said, man's almost infinite appetite for distraction. Yes, it is part of our brain. You could call it a inefficiency or a weakness of our brain or a vulnerability. However, whatever you call it, it's there, and it can be easily also exploited if we don't take care of it properly. So we live in an age of attention and not in an age of information anymore. People used to say we are in an age of information, everything is available. Now there is more information than we can consume, than we can take in. So information becomes abundant. We can have all the information at our fingertips. Problem here is that the more information we have, it's all about attention becoming the scarce resource. We can only read one article at the same time and or use one media channel at the same time. So all these channels are fighting for our attention, actually. And the challenge in this age of attention is a challenge of self-regulation. Yeah? Or like Cal Newport, also of deep work and digital minimalism, said, attention control is the most important skill of the 21st century. Yeah? So that's a statement that maybe new for you, because we don't really care about our attention as such. We usually get to do something and we don't really have the awareness where our attention always is going. So let's dive a little bit deeper here. So attention versus distraction, the attention economy. So we have got like tech companies like the ones up here with their logos, and what they have in common is their business model depends on keeping us hooked on the platform. Yeah, so they make money the more time we spend on the platform. It doesn't matter how or what we do, or how they do it to keep us hooked here. Yeah. And these products and services relentlessly compete to capture and exploit our attention, or we could say our psychological weaknesses. Yeah, it's a little bit like a slot machine where you want us users to spend as much money and time on their slot machines so that that money is created. And the user here becomes the product. So it's really shifting that it's about us as being the product in their model. And here's another very influential writer, a philosopher who said, James Williams, there's a deep misalignment between the goals we have for ourselves versus the goals technology has for us. Yeah? Okay, and we all know our attention span is very short, so maybe just a quick check here. Is everybody still present? I can't see you all because most of you have turned off their videos. And just to check, maybe give a sign, a live sign that you're still present and having attention. Maybe show your video or raise a hand or write something. Just a sign. Okay, I see a few people are. Also, there's a few people here in this room actually, so which is wonderful. Like sometimes you can be alone in a room, alone together, like in the book. But here I've got 3 visitors actually, which is a rarity in this social Corona dilemma, which is another dilemma we are currently facing. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on with our attention. Fake news versus authentic information, and that's might be not new to you if you have seen that movie. Fake news spreads 6 times faster than authentic information, because it grabs our attention stronger, because the content is stronger and often contains unexpected information, that surprises us, but also that makes us share this news and with others or repost it more often. And that's of course like a risk for not just on the social part, also from a democracy point of view, if we have more and more false information spreading. And another fact here is on the social impact of smartphones. 89% of cell phone users admit to using their phones during their last social gathering. And the study was done with millennials, and they said that during social gatherings, 82% judge it's okay to read text and email, while even 75% think it's also okay to send text and email. So a high number of people think it's normal to use smartphones even when you're interacting socially. And that's kind of shocking for other older generations, maybe. I'm a Generation X person, and I find this quite shocking that this has become already such a commodity. And coming back to Sherry Turkle, she wrote this book, Alone Together. She's a psychologist who studied this topic for over 40 years, and she found out that in these years that empathy has diminished, and increasingly so in the past 10 years while the smartphone was rising and penetrating our social life, has suffered to a great extent. I can't remember the exact number. I think it was like 40% when she finished that study. So probably in the meantime, it's rather 50 or even 60%. And what is attention really? You know, what is attention? How can we describe this? Attention is maintaining focus while being aware of surrounding. And, you know, we are not like human beings that completely shut off all the noise around us. It's like we learned also to survive in the past that we maintain focus and we can still, you know, notice things going on around us. You know, something might be, you know, a risk, a danger. So we want to keep that focus in that time, in that space. You know, not sure if that makes sense, but like with any other skill, the ability to focus, if not the practice, is lost. It's like a muscle. So you lose it, you use it, or you lose it. Yeah? And we're going to do an exercise around this in a moment. But let me just go into this deep work thing that Cal Newport calls the superpower of the 21st century. So what is deep work? Deep work is the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. And you know, like in a library, you know, where you don't want to have any distractions. You want to do just work on one task, reading those books, maybe writing your thesis or for university or school. And you don't want to be distracted during that time. And maybe you don't spend the whole day there, but like you go there maybe for 2 hours, then take a break, and then do another 2 hours and take another break. Yeah, because also that's what Cal Newport found out. There's around this 4 hours that on a day where you can really work in, like, go into deep work status. And then there's shallow work. You know, so shallow work doesn't mean it's bad. You know, it's just shallow. It means non-cognitively demanding, logistical style work. You know, like working on a task list or going into some multitasking even, often performed while distracted. So we can be distracted and still do small things, but that's called shallow work. Yeah. So what can we do about it to create more space for deep work? And one is to schedule it, to put it into the calendar, to time box it. So otherwise it will often not happen. And then also secondly, you can also move into a library or like an area where it's even more easier to focus and be less distracted. And then you can train your focus. You know, as I said, it's like a muscle. Use it or lose it. And to train the shallows, really seeing where is these areas where you spend too much time in the shallow work or not really getting something done. Yeah? And the best way really to learn how to pay attention, in my experience, is meditation. Yeah, where we all do about, you know, where we all bring our attention to the present moment. And let's do like a 1 minute meditation here. You know, nothing much to prepare, just wherever you are, sitting, standing, lying. Just bringing your awareness to the here and now. I actually brought a little gong here, so I'm going to use this for 60 seconds. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you, or lower your gaze. Noticing where your mind is right now. Noticing your breath. Bringing your focus towards your breathing in the belly region. Noticing that your mind is distracted perhaps and wants to go somewhere else, and then simply guide it back to the breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Okay, I guess that was like around a minute. So it really is about, you know, always bringing back your attention. And if you practice meditation on a daily basis, you will learn how to deal with distraction in a much better way. Yeah. So these skills of meditation and mindfulness are super skills of the 21st century. And here I agree with Cal Newport. So the ability to focus your mind whenever needed. That doesn't mean that you exclude all the distractions. You notice there are distractions and still are able to go back to where you want to go. Yeah. Okay. Hope no one has fallen asleep and you're still there. Maybe a quick heads up and a quick sign of confirmation in the chat. Okay. Still there, wonderful. So we're in the second part of this program, which is all about ways to learn to switch off. Actually, meditation is already like a super skill, super step. However, I want to present you 10 more simple steps that can help you switch off. And I created a little leaflet flyer a while ago, which has 10 things here. And if you're interested, you can write to me. You find me anywhere, like in one of the social media channels, like LinkedIn, or just Google my name, and I can send that to you actually per letter if you want. But also I could send you a digital copy. But since I've printed them out already, it wouldn't do some harm to receive something through an analog way. Okay. But you can also take some notes if you want of the slides that follow here. And some of the things you may know already and some not. So number one tip, and this is really a super tip, because when I first came across this idea, I wasn't using an alarm clock. I was using my mobile phone. And why is it important not to bring your mobile phone to your bedroom? I mean, there's several reasons for it. One is like you don't want to fall asleep with your phone in your hand or wake up with your phone. It has a strong impact on the quality of your sleep and also of the quality of your mental health. There is another study that says the level of electronic media that you use before bedtime is significantly correlated with depression in adolescence. And it looked into, it compared actually adolescents, like teenagers who were using video games. Those showed better results than teenagers with high levels of social media use before sleep. So they experienced greater sleeping difficulties and also greater levels of depression and mental health issues. So that's a strong reason for it. And the recommendation here is to keep, not just the bedroom clean, to keep some sanity. So before bed, spend some time analog without going digital, and the same when you wake up in the morning. Give yourself some time before you reconnect with analog. That's tip number one. Let's move on to 2. Measure your daily digital dose. And when I first ran this course, there wasn't anything in the iOS or in the Android. Like now there is screen time and digital well-being. Before there were just apps like Moment that could measure your daily intake of your digital media. And you've seen that. I'm gonna do this right here, right now. So this is on the iPhone. Screen time, it's actually running in the background. So even if you're not aware of it, you can just scroll to the left and see how much you're using or you have been using digital media, like in the past weeks or in the past days. So you can see I'm above 3 hours. Not good. Yeah, so it's good to get an idea about how much time you spend. There's another research being done that shows that US teenagers spend an average of more than 7 hours on screen media. So that would include all screens, not just mobile phones, but also computers and TV. And that doesn't include the time they spend on screens for school and homework. Yeah. So now with COVID, there's probably, I don't know, 7 plus X hours, 15 hours a day in front of a screen. So that's a little bit alarming, at least a little bit. And so let's go to tip number 3, which is to go offline for 12 straight hours every day. Yeah. So you can set this also on the screen time app from iOS, so that all your apps go to sleep after 8 a.m., which I'm doing currently, which is really great because it's a good reminder to use your phone less. So, and only from 8 a.m. on, I'm using apps. I mean, you can always make exceptions to it. So that's another challenge that you can give you. I'm not saying you should or you must do all of them. These are just recommendations. And maybe there's something that you would like to try out for yourself. Tip number 4, go grayscale. So I'm going to show you how my phone looks right now. Yeah. And on the iPhone, there is this possibility with a triple click, turn it into grayscale. Yeah. If you have a grayscale phone, there's nothing red, blinking or calling for your attention. So it's a way to control your attention because gray doesn't have this impact on you because you don't have these shiny flashing apps anymore, and you're getting more into control, which is what we want when dealing with digital technology. So tip number 4. Next is to limit your home screen to tools. And again, this sounds a little bit like when I grew up, like in a supermarket, you found the most expensive items like right in front of your eyes. So when you were a child, you could see the candies right in front of you, and then the items that are less attractive or cheaper, they would be in the lower shelves. Yeah, and so using also your own capabilities of knowing that we'll easily get distracted, having on the home screen these so-called quick in and out tasks, such as contacts, calendar, maps, or weather or notes, or the SBB app for buying train tickets. That really also helps, so that you don't get attracted by it. You can also measure with the screen time app, like which apps you're using when you're unlocking your phone. Like for me, I checked this morning, it's around like 50 times a day that I unlock my screen, on average. That's what it looks like. And then you could see what's the first app that I'm using. Yeah. So often we want to use just buy a train ticket or check the map, and then we get distracted and do a lot of other things that we don't intend that we wanted to do. Okay, move on to number 6. Turn off all notifications except those from people. Most of these notifications are generated by algorithms, not actual people. Of course, these algorithms are created by actual people, but this is like a bunch of IT nerds sitting in tech companies, and they design how we receive notifications, and for billions of people. So it's a big dilemma, really, because it's not democratically voted how we want to be notified. It's so the default is often not in our favor. So recommendation is to turn off all the notifications here. And tip number 7, to remove all social media from your phone. That might be tough for you, or for some of you. If you seriously want to use your smartphone less and increase your well-being, then delete all social media apps. And another very interesting study showed that if you spend 1 month away from Facebook, this leads to significant improvement in emotional well-being. So the study was done with Facebook. You could do it also with other tools, and they tested that that it really helped people to feel better afterwards, including a reduction of loneliness and an increase in happiness. And you can still use those apps on your computer or not at all, of course. And then set time for monotasking each day. And this is one of my all-time favorites, because our brain is not designed for multitasking. Brain scientists, neuroscientists such as Richard Davidson have shown that for the brain it means double work because you're switching back and forth between the various tasks. So for mental hygiene, it's good to include monotasking in every day. And again, here's another proof. Media multitasking is significantly linked to later levels of attention difficulties. Another study that was done. So if you grow up with multitasking, that will have an effect on your abilities to learn and to focus. And we don't know yet what will happen to the next generation, how they will grow up, or what will happen to their brains. We don't know yet. There isn't as much proof yet. Okay, number 9, digital-free zones and time. So designing those digital-free zones, setting boundaries, which is really important. Even Steve Jobs, the longtime CEO of Apple, told reporters that his kids don't use iPads that were invented during his time, and he was like a big part of it. He said, we limit how much technology our kids use at home. Yeah, so tech people, like these designers, they're often aware about the problems these services promote or have on our mental well-being. And they're more careful than the actual users. And finally, number 10, a digital detox day. So that would mean digital detoxing from devices, but also from screen and also from internet. Yeah, and that's a real mental hygiene. If you can do this once a week, that's fantastic. Yeah, I personally, I try it from time to time. I can't say I'll do it every week, but it really helps also for your eyes not to spend time in front of your screen. And also with parents, parents also admitted in another report that mobile devices interrupt their attention when they spend time with their children. Only 11% of parents reported that mobile devices do not interrupt their time with children. So again, huge impact it has on not just time with others, but also time with children. And at least once a week, maybe if you're a parent, to spend some quality time with your children or your partners or friends. Okay, that's about it for me. I'll leave you with a question here, and we still have about 5 minutes for you to ask questions. I want to start with this question here, but you can, of course, bring up your own question. How can you relate to digital technology so that it does not distract you from doing the things that you want to do and being or becoming the person that you want to be? Yeah. So please feel free to ask any questions, and hopefully it comes through to me somehow. Okay. Celine, are you going to ask a question?
No, just the comments there. I'm going to try 1 or 2 things for sure.
So you said just a comment?
Yeah, well, just a comment that you gave me a few more tips of what I can do to reduce my screen time.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Anybody else with a question here? Hannah, yeah.
I also have a comment,
Uh-huh.
because I think nowadays that most of us live far away from our family or our friends. It's really hard to also put a balance between being available like 24/7 for that, and just saying no, this for me, even though I'm in another time zone. And I just think it's even more pressure on us being far away from home, because they expect you to be there anytime.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, it's just like a comment. It's like something I don't know how to solve.
Do you mean solving the bridge to family living far away?
Yeah, I mean, I'm using this technology as communication. To put your phone is your family, your phone is your friends, is your work, is everything. So
yeah, that's true. Especially this applies a lot for these days. And again, if you connect that to that question, is technology serving you, or are you serving technology? I would argue that if you connect to family and friends abroad, then you're using technology. So you're in control of technology, and you won't spend, extra time on it unless it would create value for you. So therefore, thanks for the question. I think it can be, of course, in these times that we live, where we don't have the ability to visit each other, okay to spend more time on screens. And of course, knowing that we also need to rest from screens, that we take time off from screens when we can. All right. Any final question here from anyone? And if not, I'd say...
Wait a minute. We have actually questions in the Q&A chat.
Okay.
First is, should one use a separate alarm clock instead of a phone in order not being distracted when waking up?
Oh, thank you.
Tim,
I overlooked this one from Tobias. Yeah. Should one use a separate alarm clock instead of a phone in order not being... Yes. I mean, if you use like your phone, like your smartphone as your alarm clock, then you're right into the screen. You're right into the notifications from other people, and you're not just using the phone as a tool anymore. So the more you can, if you want to be in control of digital media, it's good to separate the things. For the moment when you wake up, you just want to wake up, and then any alarm can do that. And it's the same also with a watch. I bought a watch like a year ago, a new watch, because I didn't have one for a while, not one that wasn't working, because I was always looking at the phone for checking the time. So the more you can avoid just, unconsciously using the phone for, just checking the time or so, that's the better it is, because it helps you from staying focused. And then there's another question. The digital era requires us to participate in the society, in the virtual network, like LinkedIn. How not to get stressed out while not losing the opportunities? Yeah, again, I mean, do it with reason, because I use LinkedIn myself, and however, as I said, I set limits so that I will not go to social media after a certain time in the evening. That could, for some people, it could be like 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and then when you use it, spend some time on it, but not like checking it, multiple times during the day. So really give yourself some time also to work on things such as LinkedIn for some time during the day, but make it conscious so that the shallow part does not infiltrate into your deep work when you really want to concentrate. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Celine, for pointing this out. Again, I'm not familiar with this tool. I think I like it, and I still need to learn it. Oops, there's another one. Okay.
In the room chat, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's for the question. Thanks very much for your attention, for your undivided attention, hopefully, and see you again some other time, maybe in real or for another session. And thanks again to Impact Hub and Daniela.
Welcome.